Welcome to the Fitness Oracle Daily Show. I am your host, John Catsavos, and today is Throwback Thursday. And we're going to go back into my past and talk about my aha moment with the term stretching. And it's a twofold experience. So I really hope you guys are going to really comprehend this. So the first time I had these questions start to pop up into my head back in 1995, about 95. I had just started my grade 13 at high school, Eastern Collegiate. And one of my classes was OAC Health. It was my favorite class. Next to art, this was my favorite class. And yes, I took OAC Health, art. And the teacher I kind of caught him. I kind of caught him contradicting himself. I didn't say anything at the time because I'm like, whatever. I was a shy kid, always into myself, never wanted to talk to anybody. But I kind of caught him contradicting himself. Like at one point we were learning when we were learning about ranges of motion, active and passive. He was explaining how the body works, and on Monday I explained it to further detail, but he gave us the gist of what I talked about on Monday. So go back and watch that because I'm not going to regurgitate. We got a lot to cover today. And then we got into further deeper into the muscle, and the muscle has, a sarcomere, and inside the sarcomere has myofilaments, active and passive myofilaments, and those actually stretch. That is the only part of the human body that actually stretches. It's the actin and myosin filaments that actually stretch. But it's so minuscule that you won't even realize it. And it's so tiny that you won't even see it. You won't even feel it. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think about it. It does it by itself. Me doing this, I have actin and myosin filaments contracting and quote unquote stretching. They're contracting in the bicep and they're stretching the tricep. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens automatically. And I found it interesting because he was saying that in order for you to get a good workout, you have to stretch out your clients and this and that. But I'm like thinking to myself, when you were teaching us about active and passive ranges of motion, why would I want to stretch somebody so I can dislocate their shoulders? I don't understand. So from grade 13, left me a little bit confused. So I never stretched, quote unquote, did any stretching. I know some guys that would say, stretch out your legs before a heavy workout, stretch out your body before a heavy workout. I never really did. I just went into it. And it wasn't up until, I'd say maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago, where I met the late, great Peter Chasen at LA Fitness. I was a personal trainer at LA Fitness in Don Mills in Toronto. And we were having this conversation, and I was like, what's this whole deal? What's this whole deal about, stretching? He just looked at me. He just laughed. He goes, I know what you're trying to say. Why don't you come out to the RTS program and I can explain to you, and I can explain it to you better, and you'll be in the know more than any of these trainers anywhere in this gym. And I looked at him like, come on, man, come on. It can't be that. Come on. Just come out. I'm like, okay. So I signed up and we were talking about this term. And he looked at me when he was looking at me the whole time and smiling while he was talking about stretching. And I was like, wow, I feel like a first class a-hole on this one. I don't really know what I'm talking about. And it was what he was saying made more sense and he explained everything in a way that I could comprehend to a point. That's why from that point on, I never really liked using that term. And when my clients ask me if I'm going to stretch them, I told them that's impossible. I can never stretch you. But it wasn't up until I was one of his students, good friend of mine, two of his students, both good friends of mine. They're both in Newmarket. Brandon Green from Strata. I wear his shirts often. He's one of the most knowledgeable people that I know when it comes to mechanics, human mechanics, and all that. And Taylor Pleshberger, another good friend of mine who works for Brandon at Strata. And through their conversation, I was able to develop the proper language to help explain this term that we call stretching. I already understood what stretching is from Peter, but I couldn't explain it to my clients in a form where they can understand what we're actually trying to do, rather than what the industry expects the person to do. This gave me the ability to now be able to come to you, listener or watcher or client, to give you a better understanding that you're not stretching the joint, you're increasing the control in a new range of motion in order for you to do a movement safely and not get hurt in a new range of motion. Because when we pass that controlled state, that controlled barrier state of range of motion and go into passive, you've increased the likelihood of injury by 10. And we don't want that. We want you to be inside the controlled range of motion, but we also want you to experiment in that passive, just a little bit into that passive range of motion. But we do it in a way where it's not going to hurt you. We do it slowly, we do it gradually up until where you can get that full range of motion and it's all controlled. And this makes sense. This is what we want. People will look at it and be like, oh, this person has become more flexible, more nimble. No. You still have tension throughout that joint. But that tension means that you can control that joint. That's what you want. You're not stretching. You're not being more nimble. You just have a greater range of motion and you have control through that range of motion from start to finish. What does that translate? That translates into you being able to get more muscular activity, more bigger, more stronger in a quicker period of time. And the joint will be healthy, limiting your risk of arthritis, less pain when we get older. And we all get old, regardless of what we think and what we try to do with our bodies. We all get old. Sorry to burst your bubble, people. And with getting older comes new challenges in life. Love it or hate it, it is what it is. Tomorrow, it's TGIF Hot Friday, and I'm going to talk about why if you don't understand by now why I hate the term stretching and why it should never be used again in the fitness, health, and wellness industries. It should be stricken out of the vocabulary forever. But before we go, I just want to give you guys a big shout out. I want to thank you all for watching this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please, if you're watching this on Rumble or YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and share this episode. If you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, Breaker, iHeartRadio, or whatever streaming service you use, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, as it will help us reach out to more people that are suffering from mental health issues. But before you go, I'd like to invite you to keep this conversation going by signing up to your free account at PodInBox. Over the years, we've discovered that in order for us to achieve the greatness that we're destined for, we can't do it alone. So, in order for you to find your place back in this world, we've come across this amazing tool called PodInBox, where we can get together and discuss this topic even deeper. All you have to do is click on the link in the show notes and sign up for your free account and find out for yourself how powerful community really is. Until tomorrow, you guys have an awesome day.